Sorry, Miguel, but I'm in a hurry right now.
Miguel is hold on, let me bring it a little closer. There we go. But like I was saying, Miguel is probably the hardest character to scale in Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, seriously, this is the guy that went toe to toe with Satoru Gojo, apparently. But in all seriousness, compared to his portrayal and his statements, his on-screen showings are lacking, to say the least. So today I'm going to go through everything we know about the character, and I want to kind of build a case and find out what's really up with Miguel. I guess where we start is explaining the precedent for why Miguel has to be strong. The first thing is Gojo's explanation about his physical prowess. Gojo basically says in a not so pleasant way that muscle mass combined with cursed energy reinforcement is menacing. And once further extrapolated on, after Yuta says, "What does menacing mean?" Gojo basically explains that if him and Miguel were to fight with only cursed energy reinforcement and no techniques, that Miguel would win the sprint. Now, if we were to take this statement at its most literal value, and this means that Miguel at any point could overpower Gojo in hand to hand, this single-handedly puts him above a lot of characters and physical stats. I mean, just look at it this way. A chapter after Miguel came in and was uninjured against Ryomen Sukuna, Maki flew in and had a whole DBZ area shuffle with it. It really starts to call more into question than you think, because you really start to think about how Miguel performed, and it really comes up like, is Naobito really the fastest sorcerer if Miguel was moving like this? But you can just play skeptic with the known part of Naobito's name and say things like, well, Miguel isn't known. He was just a bum who got beat up by Gojo. So I guess you can kinda justify it. But look what I'm doing to defend Naobito from Miguel taking his spot as the fastest. That's the level of sorcerer we're dealing with in this video. To really hammer this home, blindfold off, try-harding Gojo, most likely using blue infused punches, is putting the absolute beat down on Miguel, only for him to come out with some light bruises. And remember, he does that for at least 10 minutes. To put this into perspective, that's less damage than Sukuna took against him. This guy, he's insane. On top of his physical stats, add on his curse technique Hakuna Lana, which is capable of buffing himself and debuffing his opponent, and the Black Robe, which is, for all intensive purposes, a long-range inverted Spear of Heaven, and you created the character that, by all definitions, should be in everybody's top 5. But why isn't he? Well, for starters, Miguel basically admits that he's someone that can get domain diffed. He even explains that fighting someone that can use their domain is like serving his head on a platter. Meaning that a lot of the verse, even if they can't necessarily beat him in a hand-to-hand battle, have a way of dealing with him. And this wouldn't be a problem because most characters don't bring out their domains until they're pressed anyway. Until we get into Miguel's biggest problem. This guy has no AP feats at all. Well, it's not really his fault because one of his 2 fights he's literally fighting someone with the "you can't hit me with physical blows" ability. But the second fight is where we call this into question. In chapter 255, Miguel fights a already nerfed Sukuna with the potential to be debuffing him with his curse technique, punches him in the stomach, and then elbows him in the stomach. And I don't know about you guys, but this doesn't look like the face of someone who's taken very much damage. And for a supposed Gojo level character's only AP feat in the story, this is kinda lacking. And the worst thing about it is that you can interpret this AP feat as not contradicting the Miguel would win in a sprint statement, as that just means that he would win in a quick encounter with Gojo. It says nothing about the damage that he would do in this encounter. So when you really look at the resume of Miguel, it's someone durable enough to take hits from Gojo while most likely debuffing him. Someone fast enough to react to Gojo, while lacking an AP feat without RCT or a domain. Being honest with you guys, thinking about how far Miguel gets in this verse is very confusing. Because for the most part, if you're not on the level of the heavy hitters, you most likely just get blitzed by him. And even then, the heavy hitters might still be outclassed in terms of speed, because even though we can't properly gauge Sukuna's level of interest for Miguel, we can see the comparison between how he fights and how Maki fought him. And in my opinion, leaving unscathed is pretty crazy. But the problem with Miguel is, if you're a high tier character with a domain, you're most likely just going to beat him. Like, as an example, how do you think Ryu versus Miguel would go? Ryu is by all aspects a weaker fighter than him. I can't imagine a single thing Ryu has in his kit other than his domain hitting Miguel. But someone like Ryu, capable of taking attacks like Thin Icebreaker, isn't really getting taken out by any of Miguel's attacks, leading to a character with seemingly no anti-domain techniques getting overwhelmed inside the domain. Like, I want to reiterate this. This is a character whose best AP feat is Sukuna no-selling one of his attacks and maybe landing a burn mark with Black Whip on Gojo in Volume 0. Do we think that's taking characters out like Awakened Yuji, Yuta, Yuki, Ryu Uro? Basically any sorcerer on that level is surviving everything Miguel has to offer, Speed Blitz or not. And this is where we're left at with Miguel. He's a character strong enough to hang with the best, but he really doesn't have a way to beat them. In fact, I find this guy so hard to scale that most of the time I just omit him from my tier list entirely. But what do you guys think? Do you think Miguel's strong, or do you think he's a bum? Let me know how you feel about it in the comments, and other than that, I don't got nothing else to say. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you like content like this, as I'll try to make more in the future. And have a nice day. Oh, and everything in this video is a Volume 0 ghetto upscale. Bye.